name's Mel, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial for this Kindle sleeve, which can also be very easily customized into a book sleeve or a sleeve of any size for you. Let's get started. Here is what you're going to need. A lightweight yarn. I am using Bango's Blend from Patty and Bango's Place. A stitch marker, a tapestry needle, a 5mm hook, and a pair of scissors. So to make the Kindle size, the first thing we're going to do is chain 34 stitches. This pattern is worked in the round, so what we're going to do here is we're going to work our next stitch into the very first chain stitch that we made. So when I fold this over to continue working, I want to make sure that my chain stitch doesn't have a twist in it. So I've got to make sure it hasn't done that with a big twist in it. So what I do is flatten it out and then just fold it over. Now what I'm going to do is into the very first stitch that we made, I'm going to make a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then into the same stitch I'm going to make another single crochet. Now I'm going to skip the next stitch that I've got and work that same pattern into the second stitch along. So I'm skipping this chain stitch, and into the next one I'm working a single crochet, 2 chains, and another single crochet, all into the same space. If you want to use a stitch marker, I put it in the first chain 2 space on each round, just so I know when I get back to it. So we're going to continue that all the way around until we meet the stitch marker now of skipping a chain and then working a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the next stitch. So now we're at the end of our row and we've got one more chain here, which is fine because our pattern repeat is to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the same stitch, and then skip a stitch. So this is the final stitch that we're skipping. And now in round 2, and for a lot of our rows after that, what we're going to do is work directly into the next chain 2 space. So into the first chain 2 space that we made, which is where our stitch marker is, we're going to work that same pattern repeat. So in this chain 2 space here, I'm going to work a single crochet, chain 2, and then another single crochet into that same space. And now I'm going to replace my stitch marker into that chain 2 space we've just made. Now we're going to continue that all the way around, but instead of having to skip any stitches, we're just going to be working into each of the chain 2 spaces from our first round. So into the next chain 2 space here, I'm going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet back into that same stitch. Skipping this here, working into our next chain 2 space, I'm single crocheting, chaining 2, and then working another single crochet. We're going to continue that all the way around. So we're back at the end of that round now, And what we're going to do is just work that same stitch repeat for 21 rows. So we've done 2 rows, we've done our foundation chain, we've done our first row, we've done our second row. So now we're going to work another 19 rows of that for our height. So I'll show you the start of this one more time, and then we'll meet back. So into the first chain 2 space of our previous round, we're going to work a single crochet, 2 chain stitches, and a single crochet back into that same space. I'm gonna pop my stitch marker back in that chain 2 space we've just made, so I know when we get back to it. And then I'm going to continue working around. So in the next chain 2 space, we're doing a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet back into the same stitch. And we're repeating that all the way around, and we're doing it for a total of 21 rows. So now, if you find that your chain is curving a lot, like this, might look like that, your chain might just be too tight. So what I would say is to go back to the chain and size up your hook. So if you're using a 5mm, size up to a 5.5mm. Do your chain using that, and then start using the 5mm for your actual pattern repeat. This is also a free pattern available on pattyandbangosplace.com.au. I will put the link down in the description. So if you want to, you can head over there to get the written pattern, which has a lot of information on gauge swatching and what to do if the size isn't quite turning out right for you. There's a lot of extra tips and tricks in that. So if you prefer a written pattern, or if something's going wrong and you're not sure how to fix it, you can either jump in the comments here, or you can jump over there and download the PDF version of this. It is free. Alright, so I'll meet you at the end of 21 rows. Once you've finished your rows, we're going to move on to the border rows. If you need to add any more for height, feel free. It's a very customizable pattern. So for our border, we've just finished our last pattern repeat here. And what we're going to do now, instead of working directly into the next stitch, we're going to chain 1 first. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet into the top of that pattern repeat, so into your chain 2 space. And then I'm just going to put the stitch marker back into that chain 1 space we just made, and continue that pattern all the way around. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet into the chain 2 space, chain 1, single crochet into the chain 2 space, and we're going to follow that all the way around. So now I'm back at my stitch marker, and the next round is just single crocheting all the way around. So starting in that chain 1 space, we're going to make a single crochet into the chain 1 space, and then a single crochet into the top of the previous single crochet. Put my stitch marker back in. So keep following that pattern all the way around. 1 single crochet into the chain space and a single crochet into the top of the single crochet from the previous round. finished, you can see there's a little bit of a border starting to happen at the top. What we're going to do is work the tie closure. So to do that, I'm going to single crochet up to halfway at the front of my work, and then we're going to make a chain, crochet around to halfway through the back of your work and make another chain. So for this one, our starting chain was 34, which means one side of it is 17 stitches across. So there should be 17 single crochets at the top here. So to get to halfway of that, it's 8.5. So what I'm going to do is just work 8 single crochets, and then I'm going to start working my chain. So we'll start with 8 single crochets. That's 1. Now that's 8 single crochets, we're roughly halfway across. And now what I'm going to do is chain 30 from here. So that's my chain of 30. And it looks really long, but when we work back down it, it will get a little bit shorter, and we need it long enough to tie a knot with the one we're going to do on the other side. So I've done 30, and then from the second stitch of my hook, I'm going to work slip stitches all the way back down. So I like to do these in the back bump of my stitch. So just inserting your hook into the back bump and making a slip stitch. So pulling through both of them. And we're going to work that all the way back down our chain to the bottom here. Now that you've made it back down the chain, we're going to find the next stitch along here, and we're going to single crochet back into that. So that's our first tie done, and now we're going to single crochet around to the back and make a second tie here, so opposite the one you've just made. So you can count these. When counting, it'll be half of your starting chain. So again, we had 34 here, so we can do 17 single crochets, or you can just eyeball it if you prefer. Where my hook is, it's pretty much opposite this other chain we've made. So now we're going to do the same thing, we're going to chain 30. So we've done that, we're going to slip stitch in the back bumps all the way back down the chain. Starting from the second bump or chain from our hook. Alright, so I've worked my way back down the chain, and now what we're going to do, similar to last time, is just single crochet into the next stitch along to secure the chain, and then single crochet our way to the end of the row. Once you're at the end of the row, you can remove your stitch marker and fasten off. So I will weave this end in later. What we're going to do next is close the bottom of our sleeve up. So the way I do this is turn my sleeve inside out, fold half again, making sure we're folding it in half so that our ties are still together. So I'm going to insert my hook into the starting chain and the one opposite it. And then I'm going to pull through my yarn and secure it with a slip stitch. And then working back into those 2 stitches, I'm going to single crochet. And I'm going to continue single crocheting 2 stitches together all the way down. If you worked a foundation chain or similar to that, I would be grabbing the 2 outside loops and slip stitching those together. The other thing with this is when I flip this right side back, because I've used a yellow yarn to join, or a yellow part of this variegated yarn, you will see a little bit of yellow. I am not too precious about that, so I don't mind, but if you are someone who is a little bit more of a perfectionist, feel free to grab the same color yarn, or if you're working with a ball like this, cut to where the same color is and use that to close up. But otherwise, I'm just going to single crochet all the way along here and then fasten off. Now I'm going to weave these 2 ends in, and then once those are all woven in, I'll turn it back inside out or right side in, whatever the wording is. And sew this last end in here. And there you have it, your new Kindle sleeve. This is also a very good pattern for customizing size, so I also have here my small paperback size with a button clasp, and that is in Kestrel's Kaleidoscope, which is also Patty and Bango's Place yarn. This is the rainbow colorway. And then this is the small paperback size in a landscape, and this is the Lavender Cake Kestrel's Kaleidoscope. And there's also this one, which is for a large paperback in the sherbet colorway of Kestrel's Kaleidoscope, and that one also has a tie. So if you want to customize it, super easy to customize your size. The written PDF has instructions for 3 different closures. So there's the tie, the button, and also a wrap. So there's options for all of those. There's all of these different sizes in there, as well as some formulas you can use to customize your own size of sleeve. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want more crochet crafty content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this tutorial a like. Otherwise, happy reading and happy crafting.